Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. My name is Kevin Henry, honored to be the host of the Dental Assistant Nation. And I'm really excited about today's conversation because we're going to be focusing on Gen Z, what they're looking for in the dental practice and in those relationships that they have. And I am thrilled to have on Sarrah Rose, who is the CEO and founder of Elixr. Sarrah, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. This is going to be such a fun conversation.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I'd love for our audience just to know a little bit more about you and Elixr before we get started, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm Sarrah Rose. I am founder and CEO of Elixr. I've been a relationship coach for the last 11 years. And my coaching methodology is very different than a lot of the other modalities that exist. So what we use are practices that I call activations that really help people connect to the sensations in their body and to be guided by that. So I think of it more as like athletic coaching than some sort of talk therapy, where, if you're working with an athletic coach, you're going to be drilling and training and doing practices and you're really engaged, you're having fun. You're not just, sitting there talking about things. So it's a different way of going about it. And my clients really enjoy it and it's very transformational for them.
Well, I'm excited because I think you're going to transform some thoughts today whenever it comes to Gen Z. And I just want to lay the groundwork that, Gen Z is really considered that 18 to 29-year-old bracket. And we have so many of those coming into the dental industry right now. We have so many of those listening to our podcast, and we always appreciate that. But Sarrah, there was something that stood out whenever I first was connected to you. I learned that there's a report out there that says 73% of Gen Zers feel either alone sometimes or always. And that's the highest of any generation that's out there. And I'm curious, what do you hear about Gen Zers and that need to connect and maybe why it's not happening?
There are a lot of theories on this. I don't know that we have any concrete evidence. There's a lot that points towards social media as something that has created this loneliness. There's more and more information coming out about that. So it seems that is likely the case. The thing that was designed to connect us has actually made us feel more isolated and more alone. There's also, it's a lot harder for this generation to be independent of their parents just because of the high cost of living. And so they may feel like, well, I still have to live at home, and that, maybe they feel, okay, well, I'm there with my parents, but I'm not with my friends. I'm not with a significant other. And I feel isolated. I'm not a little kid anymore. I don't have that same relationship I had with my parents. So there are things that are happening with this generation that are definitely different than previous generations experienced.
And we're having a lot of those previous generations who are hiring them for jobs, particularly in the dental practices. I have a lot of dentists who come up to me and say, how do I connect with this younger generation, this next generation that's coming in? And I'm curious, what advice do you have for these older generations on how to connect and maybe what Gen Zers are really looking for to create those relationships?
Yeah, I run two companies and I have Gen Z that works for me in both companies. And yeah, they're people, right? They're people just like everyone else. I have two kids who are the younger generation. They're 13 and 17, younger part of the Gen Z generation. They're 13 and 17. But they're completely different. My 13-year-old is so different than my 17-year-old. And, so yes, Gen Z, they're different, but we're all humans. And I think that's the core thing is we all want to feel like we're accepted and we belong. We want to feel like we're safe in the environment that we're in. We want to feel that we're appreciated for who we are. And, with the Gen Z that I have on my team, I really appreciate them. I appreciate their insights. I appreciate the information that they give to me and the perspective that they have that's different from mine. With my 17-year-old son, I'm constantly like, oh, wow, that's really interesting that you see the world in that way. And, so I'm interested in how they view things. And we all want that. We all want that type of appreciation. We all want that type of interest in who we are and how we see things.
So it's really, I mean, boil it down a little bit. It's really about listening and asking and really breaking down some of those maybe communication barriers that you think might exist, but maybe they don't, with just some simple, let's get to know each other.
Right. We're all humans.
Well, I love that, obviously. And is there anything, and as you said, you're a CEO, you run companies, you employ some of them. Is there anything that you see as far as whenever you were looking to hire them? Is there anything that they are really looking for from today's employer, outside of just being an integral part of something?
Yeah, they're looking to be part of something they believe in, something, a company that they can really get behind, that they feel they're valued, and they align with the company's values as well, something that they feel they're contributing to, that it's not a waste of their time. They want to feel like, okay, this is something that excites me. I have noticed that the work from home is important to them. Flexibility with their schedule is important to them. The Gen Z on my team, like they'll be available 24/7, but that also means that they want to be able to, to have that same flexibility. So it goes both ways. So that's very different. We didn't have that option too much. I was actually running one of my companies completely remotely even before the pandemic. So I was a little bit of ahead of the game there. So my Gen Z employees were happy even then. But yeah, I think that's important to a lot of people. Obviously, with something like being a dental hygienist, that's not possible.
Yep.
But for other people, having
Absolutely.
that showing up in an office can be good for them, because it creates the discipline, it creates the habit. I have the routine, and for other people, that is something that they value and they need. Some Gen Z really just need to be in an environment where they're around other people because they feel lonely otherwise.
And can we talk for just a minute about the work-life balance and what you're seeing from this generation? You mentioned it a minute ago that they may be available 24/7, but they also want to have that time to be by themselves as well. So is work-life balance really important to this generation?
Yes, but I think it's different than the way other generations have talked about it. So,
Yeah.
in my coaching practice, I also have worked with senior level executives who are executives of companies doing several $1 billion a year in revenue, and when they talk about work-life balance when they're in their 50s and 60s, it's a very different conversation than somebody who's just getting started and they're in their 20s. And I think for Gen Z, that work-life balance is more of like, okay, yeah, I'll get the job done, and I'm available, but I'm also going to be doing these other things that I want to do.
And again, we're on with Sarrah Rose today, who's the founder and CEO of Elixr, which is an app, and it really focuses on relationships and it's AI coaching. And whenever I was first introduced to you, I love the thought of AI coaching. And I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit about how that works, and maybe some of our dentists and other listeners out there who are in supervisory roles can learn a little bit about AI and maybe how it could help them as well.
What we're doing with the Elixr AI is very different than the other AI that's currently out there. So,
Mhm.
for a lot of the AI chat experiences, you input a question and then it will just spit out a response. What we're doing is we're actually training this to be a coach. So as a coach, we're not just reacting to what our client brings to us. We're, excuse me, we're leading the conversation. We're being very proactive. We're guiding them to fulfill their goals. So it's a conversation around, what are your desires, what are your wants, what are your goals, and then helping them achieve that. So our AI chat experience is more like that. It's like, okay, so these are your goals and this is how we're going to help you achieve them. And today let's go through this practice together. Let's go through this set of questions together. So it's much more of a guided experience rather than a reactive experience. And it's the chatbot has been trained to coach like me. So we have put in thousands and thousands of my coaching transcripts. And so that way it knows how to respond, and the way is specific to the Elixr method. So it's distinct. It's not something that you can get through other AI experiences. So we've, it's very curated to know, okay, I'm at Elixr and this is how Elixr responds, and this is how Elixr coaches me.
So Sarah, I love the fact that the app is really asking what the client wants and really asking it to state the goals, because that's one of the things I talk about so often with dental assistants is that they need to verbalize what they're looking for, not keep that a secret. And so I love that there's something out there like this that can help pull that out, but also coach them on how to get down that road. And I think that is so important to be able to not only verbalize that, but then have that support system to help pull you down the road toward your journey as well.
Absolutely. We all need support. Relationships, dating, those are some of the most challenging areas of our life. And it's all rooted in early childhood experiences. That's where we learn how to have a relationship. And so it all comes up when we're dating and when we're in the early stages of a relationship. And most relationship problems start while people are dating, actually. And we just avoid them. We ignore the signs. We don't know how to deal with them. We don't know how to communicate well. And so we just kind of carry along in these old patterns that we have. So through our coaching, we're really able to help people identify at an early stage what's coming up. What are these triggers showing them? What is this really a red flag, or is this my own past trauma, my own past experiences that are showing up with this person? And understanding that and doing the work to heal oneself so you can have a healthy relationship.
So Sarah, last question for you. Whenever it comes to Gen Z, I'm wondering if there's a piece of advice that you could give to them on how to better connect with those, shall we say, older co-workers, those of other generations that are in their practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, again, being curious. I just finished a coaching call with a client, and we were talking about his relationship with his Gen Z daughter. So this particular client, he's 50, has a Gen Z daughter, and it was about being curious, and when she's talking to him, okay, well, if you feel shut down by something this person said, can you instead stay open and curious? And most of us will, we feel triggered. So there's a fight or flight response. I'm either going to shut down and walk away. I'm going to dissociate. I'm going to leave this conversation, or I'm going to be reactive in a way that is aggressive and I'm going to fight, or, just pretend like none of this happened. And so noticing your own personal response, we tend to respond one way or the other most commonly. And so noticing your response, and when you feel that way, can you stay open? Can you stay curious? Can you say, okay, I notice I feel this when you say that. And I'm curious what you meant by that, right? So we can just be open, we can be curious, we can get to know each other better. And that goes a long way. Like there's so many ways for us to connect, and we often look at ways that divide us instead. And it's like, oh, well, that person is this or that person is that, and that divides us instead of, okay, looking for the common ground. So what is it that you do have commonality around, and just bond over that, and then the relationship builds and goes from there.
It's fantastic advice. I love it, Sarah, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. I want to make sure people know more about Elixr and how they can learn more about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So Elixr, like you said, we have the AI coaching. aspect of it. But we also have real people coaches on the platform as well. And so you can join Elixr, you can get on there, you can talk with professional Elixr coaches. We have group workshops, we have group coaching, we have community events. So for the people that feel like they're really isolated, we're really doing a lot to create this community, this safe place for people to get to know each other and to be in this high vibrational experience together. So where you're having fun, where you feel light, where you feel good, and you get to know each other from that place.
Sarrah Rose, founder and CEO of Elixr, really enjoyed having you on today, and thanks for your insight into Gen Z. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. We love to bring in those experts from outside dentistry as well to help make sure that you have a better career and a better day ahead. Until next time, Kevin Henry, host of the Dental Assistant Nation, signing off and wish you nothing but success ahead.